InGen, the groundbreaking corporation at the center of the Jurassic Park franchise, is the stuff of legend. Led by the enigmatic billionaire John Hammond, InGen's innovative methods of genetic engineering allow for the creation of genetically modified dinosaurs. But what makes InGen unique is not just their incredible scientific advancements and achievements, but the dangerous consequences of their creations. InGen's obsession with playing God leads to catastrophic events that threaten the very fabric of humanity. Their creations run amok, killing countless people and causing widespread destruction in their wake. As the world watched in horror, it became clear that InGen is a corporation unlike any other. They are both the creators of the world's most awe-inspiring creatures and the cause of some of its deadliest disasters. In this video, we will dive deep into this mega corporation from its conception to its presumed end and the real-life events that inspired Jurassic Park and those that followed the movie. Let's begin, shall we? Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. InGen, from conception to creation of Jurassic Park, John Parker Hammond and Benjamin Lockwood devised an ambitious plan to clone dinosaurs from the preserved DNA in fossilized amber. That's where InGen, or International Genetics Incorporated, came in. Hammond and Lockwood launched their bioengineering startup that strived to recreate prehistoric life, especially from the Jurassic era. However, the year that changed it all for InGen was 1983, when they made a groundbreaking discovery. InGen found DNA hidden in the fossilized remains of mosquitoes trapped in amber for tens of millions of years. The discovery set the stage for a thrilling adventure as the scientists at InGen worked tirelessly to extract the DNA from these ancient insects. To bring Hammond and Lockwood's vision to life, InGen enlisted the help of renowned scientist Dr. Wu and established a research group. After years of hard work and determination, they finally succeeded in cloning a prehistoric creature in 1986, which was a marvelous achievement in the world of genetic engineering. InGen also acquired Isla Sorna from the Costa Rican government on lease. The remote island served as a base of operations as well as a sanctuary where the dinosaurs were housed and nurtured. As the dinosaur cloning project progressed, John Hammond saw an opportunity to showcase these magnificent creatures to the world. He envisioned a place where the public could witness the prehistoric beasts up close and personal. Interestingly, Hammond did not want the attractions to be for the rich and affluent, and he wanted people from all walks of life to appreciate the beauty of his creation. So, in the latter part of the 1980s, Hammond began construction on an amphitheater in San Diego where the dinosaurs could be displayed in all their glory. It was a bold and ambitious project, but Hammond had bigger plans, or rather, he made bigger dinosaurs. He had a change of heart and abandoned the idea of the amphitheater. He set his sights on a much grander vision, a Jurassic Park on the remote island of Isla Nublar, located 120 miles off the coast of Costa Rica. The construction of Jurassic Park began in 1988, and Hammond hired the best structural engineers in the world to do the job. Hammond spared no expense, pouring millions of dollars into creating the perfect habitat for these prehistoric creatures. How did they create dinosaurs from Jurassic Park? So, the film doesn't quite explain the process of cloning a dinosaur, except for the brief intro that Hammond gives to the scientists in Jurassic Park. To clone dinosaurs, they needed a complete set of dinosaur DNA, but extracting a complete DNA sequence is difficult in itself, let alone finding an intact genome from millions of years ago. However, there are two sources of this DNA, which makes the job a bit easier. First, the InGen scientists extracted proteins from dinosaur fossils and used the protein code to deduce the corresponding DNA code. This method allowed them to discover most of the protein coding DNA, which are the genes that make up an organism. However, genes only cover a small percentage of an organism's entire DNA. For example, in birds, which evolved from avian dinosaurs, genes make up only around 4% of the genome. Therefore, we need another source of dinosaur DNA. InGen scientists found a way to extract DNA from blood cells in prehistoric mosquitoes that were trapped in amber, which preserves the insect and its contents. However, since the DNA found was so old, it needed to be repaired, and sometimes DNA from other species needed to be added to complete the code. But the DNA found in amber may be broken down into small pieces, making it necessary to reassemble the fragments. To accomplish this, scientists used computer algorithms to identify the overlapping regions in the DNA fragments and piece them back together. This process is similar to solving a giant jigsaw puzzle puzzle, but with the ultimate goal of creating a blueprint for a dinosaur. However, due to the age of the DNA, large parts of it may be missing. To address this issue, Henry Wu used DNA from other living creatures to fill in the gaps, given that crocodiles, birds, and dinosaurs all belong to the same Archosaur clade. These creatures were a logical choice for Wu to obtain additional DNA. Other creatures, such as mammals, reptiles, and amphibians, were also used in the cloning process in the novel, but in the film adaptation, frog DNA was the only non-dinosaur DNA mentioned. Once they had the complete set of DNA, they would add it to an emu or ostrich ovum. In 1 out of 1,000 attempts, the ovum will grow into a living, breathing dino. In the process of incubating animal eggs, scientists and veterinarians collaborate to ensure the successful gestation of the specimens until hatching. The eggs are carefully maintained at a specific temperature to optimize growth. During the hatching period, a team of 2 scientists closely monitor and document the birth process. After a dino is born, InGen scientists conduct a series of tests to ensure that the specimen is free of defects and has stable vital signs. Once it is deemed healthy, it is handed over to veterinarians who care for and nurture the dino for a period of 3 months until it is released into an enclosure. Throughout this process, scientists continue to collect and analyze data on prehistoric creatures' development. Jurassic Park incident. In 1993, the opening of Jurassic Park was just around the corner, but Hammond's investors were concerned about the park and its safety because a staff member had recently lost his life to a dinosaur. So, the investors asked Hammond to have the park inspected by experts, which is when Hammond brought in Ellie Sattler, Alan Grant, and Ian Malcolm. But just when it seemed like everything was falling into place, chaos erupted. One of InGen's rivals, Biosyn, bribed the tech guy, Dennis Nedry, to retrieve embryos. Nedry sabotaged the park's systems to get what he wanted, but ultimately ended up losing his life. But the sabotage led to the release of several dinosaurs, including the T-Rex and the Raptors, who then unleashed rampage and chaos. Despite their best efforts, the park systems remained offline, and the dinosaurs continued to run free. It was a bloodbath, to say the least. As the situation spiraled out of control, it became clear that the dream of Jurassic Park was on the brink of collapse. The investors who had poured millions of dollars into the project were losing faith, and the park's future was uncertain. With the fate of the park hanging in the balance, the staff and visitors of Jurassic Park found themselves in a fight for survival against the very creatures they had hoped to bring back to life. However, InGen was not finished yet, and Hammond's company was taken over by Simon Masrani. In the end, their efforts paid off, and the park was once again brought back from the brink of disaster. Unfortunately enough, even that project was devoured by the dinosaurs. John manages to escape the chaotic and dinosaur-infested Jurassic Park, only to join forces with Dr. Grant and denounce the park as a total failure. However, the weight of the park's downfall takes its toll on him, leaving him understandably depressed. As if things couldn't get any worse, Hurricane Clarissa hit the dinosaur islands, wreaking havoc on the park and revealing a shocking secret. So, Charlotte Lockwood, the infertile daughter of Hammond's former partner, was using cloning technology to create a child of her own. Hammond was outraged by this development, vehemently opposing human cloning and deeming it to be unholy. But despite this, Lockwood defended his daughter's actions, which led to a bitter fallout between the former partners. With the partnership officially dissolved, Hammond took final control of InGen, and Lockwood retreated to his secluded manor. San Diego incident. Despite facing financial struggles, InGen managed to weather the storm of the crisis. Their search team created a groundbreaking new plant that garnered worldwide attention, even as InGen stock plummeted from 78.25 to a mere 19. But the aftermath of the disastrous events at Jurassic Park lingered on. Hurricane Clarissa had left InGen's facilities on Isla Sorna in ruins, and John Hammond, once a champion of the park, had become an ardent environmentalist who opposed any plans to start a new Jurassic Park. In the midst of this turmoil, a power struggle emerged within InGen. Hammond's nephew, Peter Ludlow, aimed to oust his uncle from the CEO position and push forward with his own plans to resume the construction of the amphitheater that Hammond had initially envisioned. Ludlow had his plan to capture dinosaurs from Isla Sorna and bring them to the mainland. He hired a team of skilled hunters led by the legendary Roland Tembo and the hot-headed Dieter Stark. However, Ludlow's plans were foiled by the efforts of Nick Van Owen and Sarah Harding, two environmentalists working on Hammond's orders, who were determined to stop the exploitation of these magnificent creatures. Despite their efforts, Ludlow managed to capture a male T-Rex and his infant and bring them to the mainland aboard the SS Venture to the mainland. Ludlow's grand scheme soon became a nightmare when the T-Rex broke free and rampaged through the streets of San Diego. It was a showdown of epic proportions as man and beast clashed in a battle for survival. In the end, Ludlow's dream of creating a new Jurassic Park was shattered, and he himself was devoured by the young T-Rex. InGen under Masrani. It wasn't before long that InGen's control went back to Hammond. After the passing of John Hammond, the future of InGen was uncertain until Simon Masrani acquired the company in 1998. Masrani wasted no time in dreaming big, setting his sights on the seemingly impossible task of creating a new theme park on Isla Nublar. With a team of experts from Masrani Global and InGen, including Dr. Henry Wu, plans were drawn up for what would become the greatest theme park in human history. To bring his vision to life, Masrani enlisted the help of Axis Boulder Engineering and Timac Construction, who worked tirelessly for 3 years to prepare the island for construction. InGen security kept the workers safe from the dangers posed by the island's native wildlife. Despite the enormous cost, with over $1.2 billion spent on concrete and building materials alone, Masrani's dream was finally realized in 2004. A new Jurassic Park had been born, and the world was eager to see what wonders it held. But this new Jurassic World went a step ahead in playing God. Instead of simply cloning dinosaurs, InGen under Masrani was creating new species of dinosaurs. In the aftermath of the events depicted in Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, InGen's future remains uncertain. The company's reputation has been tarnished by the disastrous outcomes of its genetically engineered creations, including the loss of human life and property damage on an unprecedented scale. With the Isla Nublar facility destroyed and the dinosaurs released into the wider world, InGen faces significant legal and ethical challenges. It is unclear what the future holds for InGen, but the company's legacy will be forever linked to the creation of the dinosaurs and the catastrophic events that followed. Whether InGen will continue to pursue genetic engineering in the face of such enormous risks remains to be seen. Was creating dinosaurs the right choice? The age-old question of whether or not we should play God. In the case of Jurassic Park, it's hard to deny that the creation of dinosaurs was a bold move. The scientists and investors involved were able to achieve something that many believed to be impossible. They were able to bring back a species that had been extinct for millions of years, but at what cost? As we saw in the movie, the dinosaurs were not exactly the docile creatures we may have imagined them to be. They were wild, unpredictable, and had the potential to cause serious harm to humans. The dinosaurs themselves are seen as having a certain degree of sentience and emotional complexity, particularly with the T-Rex and the raptors. The T-Rex is shown to be protective of its offspring in the second Jurassic Park film, and the raptors demonstrate intelligence and cunning in their hunting tactics as well as protective instincts in the third film. This raises the question of whether it is ethical to create animals that are capable of such emotions and even thoughts, only to confine them to a small island and put them on display for human entertainment. It's somewhat like this recent development in Spain's Canary Island, where a firm is planning to build an octopus farm. And remember, these creatures are considered as intelligent as cats and have the potential to feel pain and pleasure. Anyway, coming back to InGen's decision to create dinosaurs, was it worth it? It's a complex question with no easy answers. On the one hand, the creation of dinosaurs was a scientific breakthrough that could have had untold benefits for the world. On the other hand, the potential risks to human life are impossible to ignore. At its core, Jurassic Park raises important philosophical questions about the limits of human knowledge and the dangers of playing God. Maybe we shouldn't be playing God in real life. Dr. Alan Grant's character is based on a real-life paleontologist. In interviews, Jurassic Park author Michael Crichton revealed that paleontologist Jack Horner was the inspiration behind the character of Dr. Alan Grant in Jurassic Park. Horner is renowned for his contributions to paleontology, including the discovery of the Maiasaura dinosaur genus, which proved that some dinosaurs cared for their young in nests. He also led a team that unearthed one of the largest T-Rex specimens ever found, and curated the world's most extensive collection of T-Rex fossils. Horner served as a scientific advisor for the original Jurassic Park trilogy and the first 2 Jurassic World sequels, working with the computer graphics team to ensure the accuracy of the dinosaurs' movements and appearances. He also collaborated with geneticists to create Chickensauruses, which involved developing chicken embryos with dinosaur traits such as a snout instead of a beak. Interestingly, it is believed that chickens actually evolved from velociraptors. Needless to say, Horner serves as a link between the fictional world of the films and the real-life possibilities of bringing dinosaurs to life. Is it really possible to create dinosaurs? A team of Chinese scientists recently claimed to have found full and intact strains of dinosaur DNA from a fossil that is over 125 million years old. The fossil in question belonged to a Caudipteryx, a feisty little dino that was about the size of a peacock. The scientists found material to test in the femur's cartilage and ran a chemical analysis that illuminated different strands and possible full strands of DNA. But before we start jumping for joy and booking tickets to some exotic island, there are those who are skeptical of the findings. The test used by scientists is not foolproof that can lead to false positives and incorrect readings. However, there's still a glimmer of hope. Scientists are using gene editing technology such as CRISPR-Cas9 to potentially bring back extinct species, including the thylacine and the woolly mammoth. Fragmented DNA from preserved specimens is being used to recreate the genetic code of these extinct creatures. The thylacine was last seen on mainland Australia 2,000 years ago and was hunted to extinction in Tasmania by European settlers in the 1920s. The woolly mammoth died out about 10,000 years ago, and researchers are splicing bits of its DNA into the genome of the Asian elephant to create a hybrid that could fill an ecological void in the Siberian tundra. So there's a glimmer of hope. Having said that, the older a DNA strand, the more damaged it would be because of exposure to UV rays and bacteria, which means that DNA from 65 million years ago would be in grave conditions. However, let's dive deeper into the question and explore the science behind Jurassic Park and, by extension, bringing back the dinosaurs. The actual science behind Jurassic Park. What started with Jurassic Park was probably a golden era that saw a monumental increase in paleontologists as well as dinosaur research and findings. In the period preceding the debut of Jurassic Park, approximately 15 new species of dinosaurs were identified by paleontologists each year. However, in the decade after the film's release, this rate significantly escalated to around one species per week. It was all made possible because Spielberg's film asked an important and interesting question. Could those prehistoric giants walk the earth once again? Could they coexist with humans? An important figure in this equation was Jack Horner, the accomplished paleontologist we mentioned a while ago. According to him, we have all the biological and scientific tools required to pave the way for dinos to return. His idea doesn't necessarily include cloning dinosaurs as the first movie did, but rather twitching with the genes of existing animals to make them look like dinosaurs. However, there are conflicting opinions within the scientific community when it comes to the questions of can we and should we? It's no rocket science to deduce that what makes money at the box office and what creates revolutions in science are seldom the same things. Naturally, even Spielberg's film relied pretty much on fiction than facts. It is well established that the T-Rex's vision is not based on movement, and instead of a predator, it is a scavenger. Furthermore, DNA sequences older than 1.5 million years old simply cannot survive in their original and intact form. As a matter of fact, the oldest such complete DNA sample comes from a horse that lived 700,000 years ago, so it is almost pointless to believe that we could find the complete DNA of a being that lived 65 million years ago, irrespective of how well this DNA was preserved. So all of Hammond's trysts with Amber are pure fiction, or at least that's true unless the foreseeable future has lightspeed technological innovation. But here's the catch. Even if we get our hands on the entire DNA structure, we would not have the genome. To put it simply, DNA is a molecule that carries genetic information, while a genome is the entire set of genetic material present within an organism's cells, and since the chances of finding the entire genome are presumably impossible, DNA fragments would not get activated. If that wasn't too huge a hurdle, get this, we would not know in what order the genes of a specific dinosaur were expressed. But clearly, Jack Horner differs and believes that bringing them back is possible by backtracking the evolutionary process itself. Since it is accepted that dinosaurs evolved into birds, he wants to take a bird and reverse engineer it into a dinosaur by eliminating and deleting millions of years of evolution. Some birds are characterized by their unique beaks, but fossil evidence suggests that their dinosaur ancestors had snouts lined with sharp teeth. To understand the evolution of the beak, scientists have used a technique called geometric morphometrics to create 3D scans of skull and skeletal images of various ancestral animals, including birds, lizards, crocodiles, and dinosaurs. By comparing the bone size, shape, and configuration of these specimens, researchers can identify the specific genes and proteins genes involved in the development of modern bird beaks. Further research using protein inhibitors revealed that blocking protein activity resulted in the expression of bird-specific genes and a return to ancestral anatomy in embryonic chickens. Researchers are using CRISPR-Cas9, a gene editing tool, to bring extinct species back to life by reactivating ancient genes. Jack Horner is confident that the technology is ready to handle the complicated procedure of gene switching in chicken embryos. This involves turning off genes to revert certain parts of the anatomy to their prehistoric state. If successful, extinct species, including dinosaurs, will be brought back from their DNA. CRISPR-Cas9 has shown the potential to alter the genetic makeup of any organism, including humans. Marvelous verdict. The idea of creating chickenosaurs and dino pigeons raises ethical concerns for some scientists. Many believe that the creation of such a creature is simply a waste of resources and a waste of life itself. The process of genetic modification is natural evolution set to maximum overdrive, and humans are short-sighted in not considering the long-term ramifications of such modifications. Additionally, what about the unknown effects of gene switching on other cells in the organism, as well as the potential for animal cruelty? The debate ultimately raises the question of whether we should create something just because we can, without fully considering the ethical implications. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.